Hey, what's up guys, it's Brainbean here again. By popular demand, I'm going to be bringing you guys a video comparing all of Razer's different kinds of switches. Now, to start the video off, we're just going to go over the specs of the switches a little bit, then we'll move over to a type test comparison, and then at the end I'll just kind of give you my opinions as to what applications fit each switch the best. So with that, let's go ahead and just start with the specs. Alright, so we're going to start it off with the Razer Green switch first. Now the Razer Green switch is a clicky and tactile switch, much like the Cherry MX Blue. Basically this means that at the point of actuation, which means when it actually registers in the computer, you'll feel an actual bump at your fingers and you'll also hear an audible clicking sound. Now this switch actuates at 1.9 millimeters and has a total travel distance of 4 millimeters, and it has an actuation force of 50 grams. And the Razer Orange switch is almost identical to the Razer Green. The only real difference is that it does not have the audible click, but you still get the tactile bump, and the actuation force is just a little bit less at 45 grams, but other than that, all of the specs on that switch are the same as the Green. And lastly, the Razer Yellow switch is a linear switch, which basically means there is no tactile bump whatsoever on the switch. It has an actuation distance of 1.2 millimeters, a total travel distance of 3.5 millimeters, and it has a 45 grams actuation force. Now that the specs are out of the way, we're going to go ahead and just move over to the typing test so you guys can hear how all these different switches sound. Now that we got the typing test done, I'm just going to briefly let you guys know what I think the best applications for each switch is. Now, of course, this choice is incredibly subjective and everybody's going to have their favorite. And if you have a particular switch that you like the best, that's the one you should go with regardless of what type of game you're going to be playing or the type of work you do on the computer. Now, with that in mind, for the Razer Yellow switch, I recommend this switch most for people who heavily play FPS games and don't do a lot of actual work on their computer. The reason for that is because it doesn't have any kind of tactile bump or click when you use the switches, and that can be kind of tough when you do a lot of typing because you either have to really bottom out the keys or you're just not really going to know when you actuate or type down that key. Another thing too with the Yellows is that because they have such a short travel distance, it makes them super responsive for gaming and you get those inputs in really quickly. But if you're going to be doing a lot of typing at the computer, it's super easy to make accidental keystrokes and it can get really annoying until you really train yourself to, not hit those keys on accident. Now moving over to the Razer Green switch, this switch is great for typing because you have that audible click that's really satisfying and you also have that tactile bump there. Now the same thing goes with the Orange switch, only you just don't have that audible click there, and some people prefer it and some people don't. Now with both of these tactile switches, they're really good for playing games like action RPGs, MOBAs, and MMO games, because in those games obviously you have different skills that you need to use, and by having that audible click there or just the tactile feel, you'll know that you hit those keys without having to look down at the computer, and you just have that satisfying tactile bump there to know, okay, I've used that skill, and in certain games like that it can be really useful. And lastly, another thing that's worth considering is if you're a streamer or you record a lot of gameplay, the green switches can get pretty loud and annoying to your audience because they are pretty loud and they're going to be clicking into the mic. So using something like the orange or the new yellow switch is going to be a lot more ideal in situations like that because your audience isn't going to have to be listening to you click the keys all the time. Well, that's it for the video, guys. Let me know in the comments down below which Razer switch is your favorite, and be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it to show your support. Consider subscribing to my channel if you're new here and you like what I do, because I've got a lot more videos coming your way in the near future. You can also follow me on Twitter at BrainBeanGaming to stay up to date with what's going on with the channel. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.